Now, Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 101.9 AM 630. WMAL.
8:37 with the Morning Majority. Bret Baier is on the line, anchor of a special report. You can check it out 6 o'clock on the Fox News channel. We were talking earlier, Bret, about no matter how you feel about the two different stories or sagas, the Herman Cain and the sexual assault allegations, or sexual harassment allegations, I should say, and Rick Perry and his big gaffe at the debate the other night, those 53 seconds where I couldn't remember that third agency that he wanted to cut. There is no doubting that the Perry camp is much better at damage control than the Cain camp, with what they did yesterday, going on all the morning talk shows and then even going on some of the late night shows last night. They handled it probably as best you could. Definitely.
And, whether he survives this, I think is yet to be seen. Mm-hmm. But he did as much damage control as you can possibly do in one day.
I thought so, too.
And probably helped himself a great deal with people who were going to jump ship automatically.
Yeah, and I've said it is my opinion that Herman Cain needs to look at replacing his campaign manager at this point, or putting new people in charge. Have you heard any whispers of that from anybody in Washington that could possibly be happening or that should happen?
No, I haven't heard anything about Mark Block leaving or his top campaign staff. I have heard that he's hiring a lot more people by the day. Receiving $9 million in recent weeks is significant. The latest CBS poll has him, essentially tied, but dropping down in support. I think you're going to see that happen over time. Depending on how this story evolves, I think there will be a softening of the support of Herman Cain, even if his diehard supporters say, he's our man.
Mark Block, by the way, talked to a blogger named Robert Stacey McCain today and referred to himself as Mark Block. And Mary Catherine Ham just thinks that the third person has got to stop.
Bret Baier agrees.
Are these fatal blows in either case? I mean, do you think that it ultimately knocks him out? Because the thing I keep looking at is, okay, a little softening of the numbers, especially among women, in the case of Herman Cain. But, I mean, is it really something that could... Because when you look at the polls, he's leading in a lot of states, Cain is.
Yeah. No, they're not fatal blows at this point. Again, we've talked about the Herman Cain story and how it's developed, and his adamant denial in Arizona at the news conference. And... The other part of the story is if these women come out on camera and they tell their story and they're believable, it has more of an effect. If there's another woman who has a story, and these are a lot of ifs, but I'm just saying if this develops, it becomes a tipping point for Herman Cain.
No. Well, let me say, we were outraged, by the way, that Mitt Romney didn't want to sit in the center seat. we talked about that extensively here on the Morning Majority, but we heard that there were some negotiations ongoing.
They are.
What is the status of that?
Yeah, the campaign has said they just don't like the format, and okay, so we are in negotiations for a one-on-one in New Hampshire at the end of November, and hasn't been locked in yet, so we're hoping it materializes. So I'll bring center seat to the governor.
Now, Bret, you guys are doing a special on Iowa tonight. What time is that on?
At 10 p.m. Eastern.
All right.
It's fantastic, and I'm not tooting our horn here too much, but we've spent the 1 year in Iowa following different undecided voters through their decision-making process. And it's just, from somebody who's been a part of it, it's an amazing look at this process. If you don't know what the caucus is, how it works, the history, this is something to see. If you're a political junkie and want to see really what's going on in Iowa, this is something to see. And it's an hour that we're very proud of. So the documentary unit has been just digging away at it, and I've been a part of it for the past year.
So we talk a lot about national polls, and the sort of national narrative becomes certain things, but on the ground in Iowa, the organizations really, really matter. And if Romney and Kaine are sort of close or neck and neck, what have you seen about their organizations on the ground? That is there one that's going to tip it?
Yeah, well, that's a great question when you pit those two together, because the organization for Romney is nowhere near what it was in 2008, because he essentially was burned and feels, I think, that Iowa is a dangerous spot for him. That said, if he wins Iowa, this race probably is over a lot quicker into the spring than it could be. Iowa has an amazing ability to, one, slingshot people who are back in the polls to the momentum of competing in other races, and two, really affect a front runner. And so right now, Mitt Romney does not have what he had in 2008, but he still has some support, and he's leading in the latest Des Moines Register poll, which is kind of the gold standard there.
And what does Kaine's organization look like? Does it exist at all? That's been some of the question about him.
Yeah, a couple months ago, he had 4 people on the ground, and now I've heard that he is hiring people and has more of an organization than he did. But the amazing part about this year is that there isn't a lot of focus on the organization, and whether that pans out, and this is a different year that's playing out debate to debate, we'll have to wait and see.
All right, Bret, it's always great to talk to you. By the way, did you see who's leading the Australian Open today after 2 rounds?
Is Tiger in there?
One guy named Eldrick Tiger Woods.
Really?
He's back.
Wow.
Just saying, I knew you would be interested in that. That's why I just brought it up. I know. It's going to be a fun weekend. Going to be a fun weekend.
Have a good one,
All right.
guys.
We'll see you soon. Bret Baier, host of Special Report on the Fox News Channel.